Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue exploring some Taoism concepts in September. Um, okay, yang. Since yesterday we talked about yin and a yang. I have to pronounce it differently. Yan. Okay, yang is how Chinese pronounce it, and it's a rising tone. I have to say yang. Okay, so yang. This concept is a couple concept within. And Taoism, from the beginning, understand the world. If we want to model it bipolar way or simplify it into binary, it's yin and a yang. It's basically using the sun, how much sunlight we get. With the cliff image like this, it's a blockage, right? If we have the sun directly on us, lots of energy, lots of warmth, that's yang. Yang, okay? Let me just pronounce it Chinese way, because most of you come here to hear Chinese, not English version. Then yin, flat tone. That's we don't get so much energy in it, low energy form. So it's basically in relative terms, high energy versus low energy, direct sunlight versus indirect sunlight, right? And we use that as this yin and yang marker. It's not in absolute terms, it's in relative. And also, not only in relative, it's cyclical. It's not like you stay in this state of being all the time. You have to transit to that one. Therefore, you can come back kind of like that or this way. So, Chinese really have lots of nuances when they conceptualize how the world operates. If Chinese characters is an indicator, like the Taoism or Confucianism are the ways that we can kind of decode Chinese, how Chinese think, operate, because we grew up on these two major thinking philosophies. This yin and yang is a Chinese world modeling because in comparison with Confucianism, which is about how individuals behave in context of society of here and now, in this life, in this context, under this dynasty, serving this king, or in your particular household or your community. Taoism is about how individual fit with the way the universe operates. So it's more metaphysical than Confucianism. So Taoism is trying to decode how the world operates, starting from this yin and yang theory, right? To model the world with only these two forces, high energy, low energy. Okay, yang, today we stay high energy. I hope I can reflect that. But I'm excited to talk about both concepts. So yang, when we see today's concept, and simplified Chinese, I almost like this is a crutch. Simplified Chinese version is like a crutch, like an easy entry to Chinese, because when we talk about that, we paired it with the moon, the lunar energy, the indirect reflected sunlight versus yang, the direct sunlight. We put a sun character in there. That's a kind of a simplified version. But if you look at a traditional and 2,000 years ago's dictionary, and this, I keep the yin and the yang together. Both of them have this cliff imagery in there. That means we have this blockage. And the cliff actually can mean the earth itself, right? Because when in the daytime we're facing the sun, rotate toward the sun, we don't really have the blockage in there. At nighttime, the whole earth is our big cliff. The blockage, we're on the other side of the earth, that we got low energy in there. So yin is about this blockage of the sunlight by this like a cut and then deflected. The sunlight get deflected and the gathering of that, like a lot of them, then that's yin. Now, yang is the sun image. We have this one horizontal line in there. Here is missing that, I guess, to show like low energy sun, because that's how we felt. The sun is basically in an overcast day, is invisible to us. So we don't really have the energy marker in there. Now here, when the sun is directly visible to us, we see the full sun with the energy, and then the bottom is the spreading of like a wind of a bird spreading the sun ray. So over here, we just use one ray to indicate all rays of sun, which is like minimum, dimmed down, blocked out. Here is directly, it's like the, so many strokes. We use four of them, right, to express the spreading of things. And that spreading of the wind and this ground level horizon is the sun above the horizon, spreading its warmth, its heat, its energy over us. And this cliff thing is not blocking us. We have the direct sunlight energy in there, and that's our yang. All right, yang li corresponding to yesterday's yin li. Oh, it's beautiful. They are reverse color too. So this, all the surroundings are black. All the surroundings are white. It's kind of like a proportional to how yin and yang feels. It's not an absolute term, and the things are embedded with each other, right? Yin and yang embedded with each other, and that's way, way more nuanced understanding. So when we say yang li, it's yang directly related to the sun spreading its wings. So we use that to associate with solar. When we say solar passage, that's our standard calendar versus lunar passage. Then that's our agriculture-based calendar. That's based on the moon movement. All right, yang jian. So yesterday when we talked about yin jian, here is yang space. What is yang space? So instead of like a heaven and a hell concept, that this nether world is not hell, right? There was no like default torture in there. We don't know what's going on there. Here, instead of yang jian means the other extreme, which is not extreme at all. Like yin jian is not extreme without the torture, and yang jian is not extreme either without the heavenly part of it, without a big party or blessing the forever euphorism, not a euphorism, yeah, euphoria from this supposedly heavenly life. We're simply talking about yang jian, the high energy world, as the world of the living, for the living. So basically, if we want to see it in an yin and yang term, centered by human experience, yang jian is our when we're still alive, when we are above the ground, and yin jian is below the ground when we are done with living. It's low energy. And I believe that's a very good way to think about life. When we're done with life, yin jian, that means your body is gone, like you're not really burning your fuse anymore. But I believe even your decayed body underground, if still burial, it will still some, like along with the material in there, still some energy. So it's not absolute no energy. It's just low energy. So low that's not enough to sustain life. So yang jian is not about heaven, not about happy. It's about being alive. High energy world. Okay, 壮 yang. Okay, when we're talking about yang, you can see yang and yin. This concept can be applied or projected or mapped onto multiple things. So besides the sun and the moon, yin and yang pairing, it's also man and woman, yang and yin pairing. Interesting. I just realized yin yang, when we place yin in front of yang. So in Chinese concept, correspondingly would place female in front of male, right? So in that sequence, it's almost like, oh, yin probably, if I have to pin down, even if these two are mutually reciprocal or mutually define each other, mutually contextualize each other, it's almost like if we start somewhere, sequential expressing the concept, yin comes first, right? So female means yin associated with yin. Okay, yang therefore is male. And just like in English, when we say manhood, it's boiled down. I mean, there are so many definitions and attributes about manhood. womanhood, right? It's like a big abstract concept. You have to unpack it in several different ways. And yang, one is manhood, boiled down in China, in English, at least English I know, that manhood would be boiled down to the man performance. So yang, we have a expression called yang wei to mean ED, so erectile dysfunction. So we simply call it yang wei. It's like your manhood, your yang energy is shrinking. That's how Chinese express it. So here, when we say 壮阳, when you strengthen your yang, it's a Chinese Viagra, Chinese medicine version of Viagra. And I guess the academic term is this aphrodisiac thing. So it's kind of strengthen your male energy. I guess it's just basically raising your testosterone thing, right? So here is a picture of Yang. I think it's kind of like an AI generated imagery almost. What do you think? It feels like unreal because it's so picture perfect. As this big sunset or sunrise, two figures in there to give us the sense of the projection, the warmth of the sun on humans. And this is a definition of yang is you have direct sunlight. It doesn't have to be the middle of the day, like the apex of yang. No, as soon as you have direct sunlight, enough energy to sustain life, that's our yang. All right, thank you for your time. See you another day.